Hey everyone, before we get into this, if you're into real stories from extreme work environments that'll keep you up at night, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like if you want more content from the Arctic. And I'm curious, where are you watching from and what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. What I'm about to tell you happened 3 months ago on the north slope of Alaska, and it's the reason our drilling site was abandoned overnight. Let's get into it. I've worked on oil rigs for 11 years. Started in the Gulf of Mexico, moved to the North Sea, and for the last 3 years I've been up on Alaska's North Slope, Prudhoe Bay area, about as far north as you can go and still be on the continental United States. If you've never been to the Arctic in winter, you can't imagine what it's like. From November to January, the sun doesn't rise. Not partially, it just doesn't come up at all. 24 hours of darkness, temperatures that hit -60 with wind chill, and an emptiness so complete it feels like you're working on another planet. Our rig, designation NK7, though we just called it North King, was drilling an exploratory well about 40 miles inland from the coast. The company, Boreal Energy, had leased the land after seismic surveys suggested a massive reserve about 10,000 feet down. If we hit it, the site would be worth billions. If we didn't, we'd pack up and the company would write off $100 million in exploration costs. My job was driller operator. I controlled the actual drilling process, managing the drill bit, monitoring pressure, adjusting the mud flow that keeps everything cool and brings rock samples to the surface. You live in a small metal box for 12-hour shifts, watching screens and gauges making tiny adjustments that keep a drill bit the size of a car boring through rock 2 miles below your feet. It's monotonous work, lonely work, but it pays $180,000 a year, and you do it in 2-week rotations, 2 weeks on the rig, 2 weeks off. So you endure the isolation, the darkness, the cold that can kill you in 10 minutes if your equipment fails. The crew was small, 23 people total. Company policy kept Arctic crews lean. Fewer people to house, feed, and evacuate if something went wrong. We had drillers, roughnecks, a medic, a cook, 2 engineers, and a geologist named Dr. May Claris who was supposed to analyze whatever we brought up. Claris was the first person to notice something was wrong. We'd been drilling for 6 weeks, making good progress. We were at 8,200 feet when the drill bit hit what we call a transition layer, where rock types change, usually indicating you're getting close to an oil reservoir. The samples coming up in the drilling mud started showing different composition, more clay, less granite. Normal stuff. But Claris looked worried when she examined the samples under her microscope. "Davis," she called me over one night. It was probably 3 a.m., though time doesn't mean much when it's always dark. "Look at this." I peered through the microscope. I'm not a geologist, but I'd seen enough rock samples to know what I was looking at. Sedimentary rock, fine-grained, layered structure. Standard stuff from this depth. "Looks normal to me," I said. "It shouldn't be here." This is marine sediment from an ocean floor. She pulled up a chart on her computer. We're 8,200 feet down, about 300 feet above sea level in elevation. This rock should be from ancient tundra, glacial deposits, volcanic ash from when this area was more active, not ocean floor sediment. So there was an ocean here once. Alaska's been a lot of different things over geological time. Not here, not at this elevation, and not this type of sediment. She showed me the microscope image on her screen. "See these? Those are foraminifera fossils, tiny organisms that lived in deep, cold ocean water. The type of cold we're talking about only exists at extreme depths or extreme latitudes. We're at an extreme latitude. Yes, but these specimens are from 40,000 to 50,000 years ago, based on the isotope ratios. Back then, Alaska's coastline was about where it is now. For this sediment to be here, there would have had to be an ocean covering this area. An ocean at least 8,000 feet deep. She looked at me. There's no geological record of that ever happening. I didn't know what to say. I'm a driller, not a scientist. But Clarice looked genuinely disturbed. Maybe your dating is off, I suggested. Or maybe this got pushed here by glaciers or something. Glaciers don't push sediment 8,000 feet underground, Davis. And my dating isn't off. I've run it 3 times. She sat back. We're drilling through something that shouldn't exist. An ancient ocean that was never there. I reported it to our site manager, a guy named William Thorpe. 40-year veteran of the oil industry, seen everything, afraid of nothing. He listened to Clarice's concerns and shrugged. We're here to drill for oil, not rewrite geology textbooks. If there's ancient ocean sediment down there, great. Oceans make oil, keep drilling, so we kept drilling. At 8,400 feet, the transition layer ended. We punched through into a new formation and immediately, everything changed. The drill bit started moving faster, much faster. Instead of grinding through solid rock at 2 or 3 feet per hour, we were suddenly doing 20 feet per hour. The resistance was gone, like we'd broken through into empty space. We've hit a cavity, I radioed to Thorpe. A big one. The bit's just dropping. Can you get samples of what's down there? The mud's not bringing anything up, just returning empty. Thorpe came to my station, watched the readings. The drill bit was at 8,450 feet now, 8,500, 8,550. Falling through nothing. Stop it at 8,600, he said. Let's see what we've got. I stopped the drill. The bit just hung there in empty space, 8,600 feet below the surface. I circulated the drilling mud, trying to get samples of whatever we'd broken into. The mud came back strange. Wrong temperature. It should have been cooled by the rock as it circulated down and back up. Instead, it was ice cold. So cold that it was starting to freeze in the return line. What's the temperature down there? Thorpe asked. The downhole sensor is reading minus 40 degrees. That's impossible. The ground temperature at this depth should be above freezing due to geothermal gradient. Equipment malfunction? Maybe. But the mud is actually freezing. That's not a malfunction. Clarice was called back to analyze the mud. She took samples, ran tests, and came back an hour later looking pale. There's ice in this mud. Not frozen mud, actual ice crystals. And they're not from the surface. The isotope signature is wrong. This ice is old, really old. How old? Preliminary dating says 50,000 years, maybe older. She showed us microscope images. And there's something else. Organic matter, preserved in the ice. Like frozen plants. No, not plants. She zoomed in on the image. Tissue. Animal tissue. Whatever's down there, it's not just empty space. It's a frozen mass of something organic. We stared at the screen. The tissue looked intact, cellular structure preserved perfectly by the extreme cold. Could be a mammoth, Thorpe suggested, or other megafauna. The permafrost up here preserves everything. We're 8,600 feet down, Clarice said. How did a mammoth get 8,600 feet underground? Nobody had an answer. Thorpe made the call to keep drilling. We're not here for archaeology, we're here for oil. If there's organic matter down there, great. That's what makes oil. We drill through it and keep going. But I could see Clarice wasn't satisfied. She kept examining those samples, running more tests, comparing the results to databases of known specimens. At 8,800 feet, we hit resistance again. The drill bit was grinding through something solid, but it wasn't rock. The vibration patterns were wrong. The sound was wrong, higher pitched, more brittle. It's like drilling through bone, I told Thorpe. Dense, calcified, but not stone. How much of it? Hard to say. Could be a single large object, or could be layers of smaller pieces. We drilled through it for 6 hours. 6 hours of grinding through what felt like an endless mass of fossilized bone. The samples coming up confirmed it. Calcium-rich, structural proteins still detectable even after millennia. Cellular patterns that indicated this had once been living tissue. But the size was wrong. Whatever we were drilling through was massive. A single bone shouldn't take 6 hours to drill through at our rate. This was something huge. At 9,000 feet, we broke through the bone layer into another cavity. This one was different. The drill bit dropped, but the sensors were showing something in the space. Not empty air. Something dense but not solid. Liquid, maybe. Or something between liquid and solid. I'm getting pressure readings, I said. Whatever's down there is under pressure. Like it's contained in something. A reservoir? Thorpe leaned over my shoulder. Oil reservoir? Pressure's wrong for oil. Too high. And the density readings don't match. This is denser than crude. Sample it. I circulated the mud, brought samples up. The core sampler came back full of something that wasn't mud, wasn't rock, and wasn't oil. It was clear, crystalline, like ice, but not frozen solid. More like slush. Partially melted ice with something dissolved in it. Clarice took it to her lab. We waited. 10 minutes later, she called us over, and her voice was shaking. "You need to see this, right now." We found her staring at her microscope, hands trembling. "What is it?" Thorpe demanded. "Cells." Living cells. That's impossible. Nothing lives at 9,000 feet depth in ice. Look for yourself. I looked. Even with my limited biology knowledge, I could see it. The cells were moving. Slowly, but definitely moving. Expanding, contracting, metabolizing. "They're alive," Clarice whispered. "We've drilled into something that's alive. Or was alive, or ... quote. She trailed off, struggling for words. "I don't know what this is, but it's not dead. It's been frozen for 50,000 years, and it's not dead." Thorpe was quiet for a long moment. Then, "What kind of organism is it?" "I don't know. The cellular structure is unlike anything in the databases. It's not bacterial, not archaea. The complexity suggests multicellular organism, but the cells themselves are wrong. The organelles are in the wrong positions. The genetic material, I can't even identify if it's DNA or RNA or something else entirely. So we've found a new species. We've found something that shouldn't exist. Something that's been frozen deeper than anything should survive. For longer than anything should survive, and it's still functioning. Still alive." The lights flickered, just for a second, but enough to make us all look up. "Power surge," someone called from the equipment room. "Something's drawing extra power from the heating system." "What's drawing power?" Thorpe asked. "Unknown. The monitors are showing heat signatures from the drill hole. Something down there is warming up." We rushed to my station. The temperature sensors at 9,000 feet were indeed reading higher. -40 had climbed to -35, -30, -25. "It's thawing," Clarice said. "Whatever we drilled into, the friction and heat from the drill bit is causing it to thaw." "That should be impossible," I said. "The surrounding rock should absorb any heat. It should stay frozen. Unless what we drilled into is generating its own heat. Metabolic heat. From the living cells." The temperature kept rising. -20, -15. Thorpe, I said, we should seal this hole. Right now, whatever's down there, we've disturbed it. We've started it thawing. We don't know what will happen if it fully thaws. We're not sealing a hole that might have the biggest oil reserve in Alaska under it. This isn't oil. Clarice just told you. Clarice found some unusual cells. That doesn't mean there's not oil deeper down. We keep drilling. We find out what's really down there. But Clarice was backing away from her microscope, staring at the sample. Oh God. Oh Jesus Christ. What? The cells are dividing. They're reproducing. In the last 5 minutes, the cell count has doubled. They're waking up. Whatever we brought up, we've activated it. The lights flickered again. This time, they didn't come back on fully. We dropped to emergency lighting, bathing everything in dim red. What's happening? Thorpe yelled. The power room operator's voice came over the radio, panicked. Something's wrong with the heating system. It's drawing massive power, way more than it should, and the heat is all going to one place. Where? The drill hole. Everything is being directed down the hole. Like something down there is pulling the heat out of our systems. I checked my monitors. The temperature at 9,000 feet was climbing fast. -10, -5, 0. Above freezing now. Whatever was frozen down there was thawing, and it was using our rig to do it. The temperature at 9,000 feet hit 40 degrees Fahrenheit and kept climbing. Shut down the drill, Thorpe ordered. Pull the bit up, now. I started the extraction sequence, but something was wrong. The drill string, the miles of connected pipe that held the drill bit, wasn't responding normally. There was resistance, like something was holding it down there. I'm getting drag on the string, I reported. The weight indicators are off. Something's attached to the bottom. How much weight? I checked the readings. An extra 40 tons. Whatever's down there has latched onto the drill bit. That's impossible. There's nothing down there that could... The entire rig shuddered, not an earthquake. Something else. A vibration that came up through the drill hole, through the equipment, through the metal floor beneath our feet. What the hell was that? Someone yelled. Clarice was at her station, staring at monitors. The seismic sensors, they're picking up movement at depth. Something large is moving down there. How large? I don't know. The sensors aren't calibrated for this. But the displacement, it's massive. Whatever's down there, it's bigger than anything we've drilled into before. Another vibration. Stronger this time. Coffee cups fell off tables. Loose equipment clattered to the floor. I kept trying to pull the drill string up. The winches strained, cables tight enough to sing. Slowly, inch by inch, the string started rising. At 8,900 feet, the resistance increased. The winches were at maximum load, and the string had stopped moving. I can't pull it any higher, I said. Something's holding on. Cut it loose, Thorpe decided. Drop the bit. We'll retrieve it later. You want to leave $1 million of equipment down there. I want to stop whatever's happening before it gets worse. I activated the emergency release. The drill bit should have detached, leaving us free to pull up the string. But the release didn't work. The bit was still connected, still held by whatever was at 9,000 feet. The release mechanism isn't responding. It's like something's keeping it engaged. Clarice's voice was quiet but terrified. What if it wants us to pull it up? What if it's using the drill string like a rope? We all stared at her. That's insane, Thorpe said. It's frozen biomass, ancient organic matter. It doesn't have intentions, it can't. The rig shuddered again, and this time we all heard it. A sound coming up through the drill hole. Not mechanical, not geological. Something else. something that sounded almost like breathing, like something massive taking in air for the first time in 50,000 years. "Seal the hole," Clara said. "Right now. Blow the concrete plugs, fill it with mud, seal it permanently. We can't seal it with the drill string still in place. It'll just create a channel for whatever's down there to follow. Then cut the string. Use explosives. Sever it below the resistance point and seal above it." Thorpe was sweating despite the cold. "That would cost millions. The company will still exist tomorrow," Clarice shouted. "If we don't seal this, there might not be a tomorrow to worry about." I'd never seen her lose her composure before. That scared me more than anything else. Another shudder, and this time, the drill string moved. Not because we were pulling it, because something was pushing from below. The depth indicator started climbing. 8,900 feet. 8,850. 8,800. "It's coming up," I said. "Whatever's down there, it's climbing the drill string." "How is that possible?" Thorpe demanded. "Nothing can survive the pressure changes. Nothing can move that fast through rock and ice." "It's not moving through rock and ice," Clarice interrupted. "It's moving through the cavity we drilled. The empty space. We created a channel from 9,000 feet to the surface. We gave it a way up. 8,700 feet. 8,600. 8,500. It was climbing faster now. "Everyone off the rig floor," Thorpe ordered. "Move to the living quarters. Seal the pressure doors." "What about the equipment?" someone asked. "Forget the equipment. Move." We ran. 23 people scrambling through narrow corridors, through pressure doors, into the insulated living quarters that formed the rig's safe zone. Heavy steel doors slammed shut behind us. In theory, these doors could withstand a blowout, a fire, even a partial rig collapse. I didn't think they'd withstand whatever was coming up from 9,000 feet down. We crowded into the common room, watching the monitors. The security cameras showed the now empty rig floor, the drill station abandoned, warning lights flashing red across every console. The depth indicator kept climbing. 8,000 feet. 7,500. 7,000. Clarice had her laptop, still connected to her lab systems. The temperature at depth is still rising. 50 degrees now. 60. Whatever's down there, it's generating massive amounts of heat. The ice is melting. The permafrost around the hole is destabilizing. "Will the rig collapse?" someone asked. "The rig is the least of our problems. 6,000 feet? 5,500. 5,000. It was moving faster the higher it got. Like it was learning, like it was eager. At 4,000 feet we felt another vibration, but this time it wasn't just a shudder. The entire rig tilted slightly to the left. "The permafrost," Clarice said. "It's melting underneath us. The ground is becoming unstable. How long until we collapse? I don't know. Hours, minutes. Depends on how much heat that thing is generating. 3,000 feet, 2,500, 2,000. We could hear it now. A sound like ice cracking, like trees snapping in a storm, like something massive forcing its way through a space too small for it. "We need to evacuate," someone said. "Call for helicopters. Get everyone out. In this darkness? In this cold?" Thorpe shook his head. "The nearest helicopter is 3 hours away. We'd freeze before they got here. So we just wait here and die? We wait here and hope whatever's coming up isn't hostile." 1,500 feet. 1,500. It was almost at the surface. On the monitors, we watched the drill floor. The drill string was vibrating now, shaking so hard the entire structure groaned. The opening of the hole, normally just a dark circle in the metal platform, was starting to glow. Not with light, with something else, a blue-green luminescence that pulsed like a heartbeat. Bioluminescence, Clarice whispered. It's alive. It's definitely alive. 100 feet, 50, 25. The drill string erupted upward. Not pulled, pushed. Something at the bottom was forcing its way out, and the drill string, 3 tons of metal pipe, was being thrown aside like it weighed nothing. The pipes crashed across the rig floor, smashing equipment, denting the metal platform. And behind them, emerging from the hole, came something. At first, it looked like ice, like a glacier forcing its way up through the ground. Blue-white, crystalline, semi-transparent. But it moved wrong. Glaciers don't move like this, don't flow and pulse and reach. It kept coming. More and more of it pouring out of the hole, growing, spreading, taking up space on the rig floor. "What is it?" someone whispered. Clarice was typing frantically on her laptop, trying to make sense of sensor data. I think it's a colony organism, like a slime mold or coral, but massive. The individual cells we saw are just components. This is the whole entity. How big? I don't know. We only drilled through a small part of it. For all I know, the entire formation down there is this thing. Miles wide, miles deep. The mass on the rig floor stopped growing. It sat there, pulsing. The bioluminescence flickering across its surface in patterns that might have been random or might have been something else. Communication. Thought. We watched in silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then the mass changed. Parts of it solidified, taking shape. And I saw something that made my blood freeze colder than the Arctic air outside. The shapes looked like bones, like a skeleton forming out of the ice flesh. But not a human skeleton. Not any animal skeleton I recognized. Too many joints, wrong proportions, limbs that bent in ways that shouldn't be possible. "Oh God," Clarice said. "Oh my God, I think I know what this is." "What?" "The ocean sediment. The one that shouldn't be here. What if it wasn't pushed here by glaciers? What if it was here because there was an ocean here? There's no geological record, because it wasn't a geological event. It was this thing, 50,000 years ago when the last ice age was in full swing. What if this creature created its own environment? What if it made an ocean of ice, shaped the landscape around itself, existed in conditions it generated? That's impossible. We're looking at it right now. It's been frozen for 50,000 years and it's still alive. It restructured the geology around itself to survive. And now we've given it heat. We've thawed it. We've brought it back." The skeleton shapes were more defined now. Multiple sets of limbs, a head-like structure, but too elongated. Openings that might have been eyes, mouths, or something else entirely. And then the whole mass started moving, flowing across the rig floor toward the pressure doors. Toward us. "It knows we're in here," someone said. The mass reached the door. We watched on the monitors as it pressed against the steel, testing it. The metal groaned under pressure. "Those doors are rated for 5,000 psi, Thorpe said. "They'll hold." But I could see the metal starting to frost over. Ice crystals forming on our side of the door. The temperature in the common room was dropping fast. "It's flash freezing the door," Clarice said. "Making it brittle." A crack appeared in the steel, then another. The metal was literally shattering from the extreme cold. "Secondary doors," Thorpe shouted. "Move to the sleeping quarters now!" We ran again. Through more corridors. Through more pressure doors. Behind us, we heard the first door shatter like glass. Heard something massive flowing through the corridor behind us. We sealed the secondary doors. The sleeping quarters was the deepest part of the rig's safe zone, designed to be the last refuge in case of catastrophe. We'd reached the last refuge. "Radio for help," someone said. "Tell them what's happening." Thorpe tried, but the radio was dead. Not broken. Dead. Like the signals were being absorbed before they could leave the rig. "It's interfering with communications," Clara said. "Somehow." How? How is it doing any of this? I don't know. I don't understand this organism at all. It shouldn't be possible, but it's here, it's real, and it's... The lights went out. Complete darkness. In the Arctic, in winter, inside a sealed metal room, darkness is absolute. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. Then the bioluminescent started. Through the cracks around the secondary door, blue-green light seeped in, pulsing, regular, like a heartbeat, like it was breathing. "Everyone get to the emergency exit," Thorpe said, his voice strained. "Survival suits on. We're abandoning the rig. In -60 weather? Better to freeze outside than wait for that thing to get through these doors." We scrambled in the darkness, guided only by the eerie bioluminescence. Found the survival suits, insulated, heated, rated for 6 hours in extreme cold. Started pulling them on. The secondary door groaned. Metal under stress, under pressure, under extreme cold. "Hurry!" I got my suit sealed, activated the heating. Around me, others were doing the same. 23 orange-suited figures in the dark, preparing to flee into a frozen hell because what was behind us was worse. The door cracked. "Go! Go! Go!" Thorpe opened the emergency exit. Arctic air blasted in, -60, hitting us like a physical force. But the suits held. The heating kicked in. We climbed out onto the ice. The rig towered above us, lights still flickering. The drill tower silhouetted against the star-filled sky. Beautiful and deadly. Behind us, the secondary door shattered. The mass poured out of the emergency exit. Not following us. Just expanding, growing, spreading across the ice like it was reclaiming territory it had lost 50,000 years ago. We ran. 23 orange dots fleeing across endless white. The nearest shelter was the backup facility, 10 miles north. 10 miles through darkness and cold that could kill us if our suits failed. But we ran because staying meant something worse than death. After about a mile, I looked back. The rig was covered, completely encased in the blue-white mass. The whole structure, hundreds of tons of metal and equipment, was just a lump in what looked like a glacier. Except glaciers don't pulse with their own light, don't move with purpose, don't reshape themselves as we watched. "What is it doing?" someone gasped over the radio. Clarice's voice was calm now. The terror had burned away, leaving only scientific curiosity. "It's rebuilding, using the materials from the rig, incorporating them into itself. It's a hybrid now, part ancient organism, part modern technology. And it's still growing. How do we stop it?" I don't think we can. We woke something that's been sleeping for 50,000 years. Something that survived the last ice age by creating its own environment. Something that adapted to conditions that would kill any known organism. So, what do? We survive the night, get to shelter, radio for help, and pray that whatever that thing is, it stays where we left it. But even as she said it, I could see the mass spreading, flowing across the ice, growing larger, absorbing everything it touched. We'd drilled 9,000 feet down looking for oil. We'd found something else, something that Alaska had kept frozen for 50,000 years. Something that should have stayed frozen forever. And now, it was loose. We made it to the backup facility in 4 hours. 4 hours of stumbling through darkness, guided only by GPS and the distant glow behind us where the rig had been. 4 hours of -60 cold seeping through even our heated suits, freezing any exposed metal, making every breath painful. 3 people didn't make it. Their suit heaters failed, and in this cold, you have maybe 10 minutes before hypothermia kills you. We couldn't stop, couldn't help them. Just kept moving and tried not to think about the orange-suited figures behind us, frozen in mid-stride like statues in the ice. The backup facility was small, just a supply depot and emergency shelter. But it had heat, communication equipment, and walls between us and whatever was out there. We sealed the doors, powered up the systems, and collapsed. For the first time in hours, we could breathe without pain. Thorpe immediately went for the radio. Long range, powerful enough to reach Dead Horse, the closest thing to civilization up here. Mayday, Mayday. This is NK7 backup facility. Primary site has been abandoned due to catastrophic incident. Requesting immediate evacuation for 20 survivors. 3 casualties. Do you copy? Static. Then a voice. NK7 backup, this is Dead Horse Control. We copy your Mayday. What's the nature of your catastrophic incident? Thorpe looked at us. How do you explain what we'd seen? Who would believe it? Equipment failure and structural collapse, he said. The rig is no longer stable. We need immediate extraction. Understood. However, current conditions show storm system moving in. -65 temperatures, 60-knot winds. We cannot safely fly until conditions improve. Estimated 12 hours. 12 more hours. Trapped 10 miles from whatever was growing at our drill site. Claris was at a computer, pulling up satellite imagery. The depot had access to real-time thermal and visual satellites that monitored the oil fields. "Oh no," she whispered. The thermal image showed our drill site as a massive heat signature. But it wasn't just at the drill site anymore. The heat was spreading, flowing outward in all directions at roughly 3 miles per hour. "It's expanding," she said. "At this rate, it'll reach us in less than 4 hours." "What about the cold?" someone asked. "Won't the Arctic freeze it again?" It survived for 50,000 years in colder conditions than this. The cold doesn't kill it. The cold is what it's adapted for. It's not spreading despite the cold. It's spreading because of it. This is its natural environment. Thorpe was back on the radio. "Dead Horse, we have a situation. We need immediate evacuation regardless of weather conditions. The facility is compromised. Whatever took down the primary rig is moving toward our position." "NK7, please clarify. You're saying something is approaching your facility?" "Affirmative." "What kind of something?" "Wildlife." "How do you explain?" "Negative. Not wildlife. Unknown biological entity. Extremely dangerous. We need evacuation now." Silence. Then, "NK7, are you saying you have a biological threat? Some kind of disease outbreak?" "No, not a disease, it's..." Thorpe looked at Claris helplessly. She grabbed the radio. "This is Dr. May Claris, boreal energy geologist. We've released something from deep permafrost. A preserved organism that we believed was extinct, but is actually dormant. It's active now, expanding rapidly, and we have no way to contain it. You need to alert the CDC, the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, and probably the military. This is beyond oil company procedures." More silence. Then a new voice. "Dr. Claris, this is Colonel Marcus Reeves, Eielson Air Force Base. Please describe the organism you've encountered." Military. They were taking it seriously now. "It's a colony organism," Claris said. "Similar to slime molds in structure, but massive in scale. We estimate the portion we released is at least 2 miles in diameter at depth, and it's growing larger as it spreads. It exhibits bioluminescence, extreme cold tolerance, and what appears to be problem-solving behavior. It's incorporating non-biological materials into its structure. We saw it absorb our drilling rig. It's also generating massive amounts of heat and interfering with radio communications. Dr. Claris, are you telling me that you've released a prehistoric organism that's currently expanding across the North Slope? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Stand by. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. Watching the thermal image as the heat signature grew larger. Watching the clock as our evacuation window shrank. Finally, NK7, this is Colonel Reeves. We're scrambling extraction helicopters regardless of weather. ETA 45 minutes. In the meantime, we're rerouting military satellite surveillance to your location. We need to see what we're dealing with. Thank you, Colonel. And Dr. Claris? You and your team are under military quarantine as of now. Nobody discusses what you've seen until we've debriefed you. Understood? Understood. 45 minutes. We had maybe 3.5 hours before the expanding mass reached us. We'd make it, barely. Claris continued analyzing satellite data. It's not just spreading randomly, she said. Look at the pattern. It's moving faster toward the sources of heat. It's seeking out the heated oil pipelines, the pump stations, anything generating warmth. Like a moth to flame. More like a predator following prey. It needs heat to stay active, to grow. The drill operation provided the initial warmth to thaw it. Now it's looking for more heat sources to sustain its expansion. What happens when it finds them? I don't know, but there are hundreds of drill sites on the North Slope. Thousands of miles of heated pipelines. It could spread across the entire Arctic if it reaches them. The military will stop it, contain it somehow. How? We drilled into something 2 miles wide. What we're seeing on the surface might just be a fraction of the total organism. The main body could still be underground, thawing slowly, and we don't know how deep it goes. Could be to the mantle for all we know. That's impossible. Everything about this is impossible. Impossible organisms that survive 50,000 years in ice. Impossible biology that can incorporate metal and technology. Impossible scale that spans miles. We're dealing with something outside our understanding of what life is. The lights flickered, just for a moment, but enough to make everyone freeze. Please tell me that was just a power fluctuation, Thorpe said. I checked the systems. The generators are fine. That was something else. The lights flickered again, and this time when they came back, they were dimmer. Like something was drawing power from our systems. Temperature's dropping, someone said. The heaters aren't keeping up. I looked at the thermal controls. They were running at maximum output, but the interior temperature was falling fast. 72 degrees, 65, 58. It's here, Claris whispered. Somehow it's here already. The thermal image must be delayed or wrong. It's here right now. That's impossible. The satellite showed it miles away. Maybe what we're seeing on satellite is just the main body. Maybe it can send out tendrils, extensions, scouts. Maybe the door to the supply room burst open. Not smashed, not forced. It just opened. Like something had figured out how to work the handle. Through the doorway came something that made my sanity strain. It looked like ice, but moved like flesh, like the thing from our rig, but smaller, more focused. It flowed into the room like liquid, then solidified into a shape that was almost humanoid. Almost. Too tall, too many joints. The head structure turned toward us, and I saw openings that might have been eyes. Dozens of them, arranged in patterns that hurt to look at. Don't move, Claris breathed. Nobody move. The ice thing stood there, watching us with its impossible eyes. The bioluminescence pulsed across its surface, faster now. Excited, curious. Then it spoke. Not with the mouth, not with sound waves through air. But somehow we all heard it. A voice in our heads, like tinnitus but shaped into something that almost made sense. Images more than words, feelings more than thoughts. Jesus Christ, someone whispered. It's trying to communicate. Can you understand us? Clarice asked out loud. We're humans, people. We didn't mean to wake you, we were drilling for oil. Yes, a mistake, we're sorry, we'll leave. You can go back to sleep. You can't spread, Thorpe said, finding his voice. There are billions of humans, cities, countries, civilization. If you spread, they'll fight you. They'll destroy you. The thing was right. How do you kill something that survived conditions that would destroy anything else? That thrived in extreme cold, ate heat, and adapted to 50,000 years of frozen stasis. What do you want? Clarice asked. Incorporate us. No, someone said. No, stay away from us. They ran. Mistake. The ice thing moved faster than anything that size should move. Flowed across the floor like liquid, solidified around the runner, and absorbed them. I watched in horror as the person's outline became visible within the translucent mass. Watched as their body broke down, restructured, became something else. The screaming lasted maybe 5 seconds, then stopped. When the ice thing released them, they looked mostly human. Mostly. The skin had a blue-white tint. The eyes were too large, too multifaceted. When they opened their mouth, ice crystals formed in their breath. And when they spoke, their voice harmonized with the other voice in our heads. No. Thorpe pulled his pistol. Stay back. Forever? The radio crackled. NK7, this is Extraction Team Alpha. We're 5 minutes out. Prepare for pickup on roof landing pad. 5 minutes. We had to survive 5 more minutes. We're not joining you, Clarice said firmly. We're leaving. And you can't stop us. Then let us leave. Let us evacuate. The ice thing withdrew, flowing back toward the supply room. The transformed human, if they could still be called human, followed. Before they left, they turned back to us. It's not lying, they said in their dual-toned voice. The transformation doesn't hurt after the first minute, and you can think so much more clearly, see so much more. The cold doesn't touch you, time doesn't touch you. You could live forever and never feel pain again. You're not you anymore, Clarice said. I'm more than I was. We all will be. Soon. They left. We sealed the door behind them, knowing it wouldn't matter. If that thing wanted in, doors wouldn't stop it. Roof, Thorpe ordered. Everyone to the roof landing pad, now. We climbed the stairs, burst out into the Arctic night. -65 with wind chill that cut through even our suits. But above us, we could see lights. Helicopters, military extraction. They landed, rotors never stopping. Crew chiefs waved us aboard frantically. We ran. 20 survivors cramming into 2 helicopters rated for 12 each. Nobody cared about weight limits. We just wanted off the ice. As we lifted off, I looked down at the backup facility. It was already being covered by the expanding mass. The blue-green bioluminescence pulsed like a heartbeat, growing brighter as more of the structure was absorbed. And beyond it, spreading in all directions, I could see the extent of what we'd released. Miles of infected ice glowing with alien light, moving with purpose across the north slope. Colonel, Clarice said into her headset, you need to evacuate all personnel from the north slope. All the drill sites, all the pump stations, everything. We're already moving people, Reeves replied. But Dr. Clarice, we have a bigger problem. The organism isn't just spreading on the surface. Seismic sensors are detecting movement underground, deep underground. We think you drilled into the top of something much larger. How much larger? Preliminary estimates suggest the underground mass might extend for hundreds of miles, maybe across the entire North Slope, maybe further. Clarice closed her eyes. The ocean sediment. It wasn't sediment that got moved here. This thing created its own ocean of ice, shaped the geology. It's not just an organism, it's a geological force. It's been here for 50,000 years, dormant, shaping the Arctic around itself. And now it's awake. Now it's awake, and it's hungry, and it's going to try to transform the entire Arctic back into its preferred environment. Can we stop it? Clarice looked out the window at the glowing expanse below. I don't know. Nukes might work, might just give it more energy, might spread it further. This thing survived whatever killed the megafauna 50,000 years ago. Survived the asteroid impacts, the climate shifts, the ice ages. I don't think we have weapons that can kill it. Then what do? We adapt, or we transform, or we run and hope it stays in the Arctic. But I knew it wouldn't stay in the Arctic. I'd seen the intelligence in those impossible eyes, the purpose in its movements, the hunger in its message. It was going to spread, going to transform, going to incorporate everything it touched into something new, something that could survive the cold, something that could survive forever. And the only question was whether humanity would resist and die, or accept and change into something we wouldn't recognize anymore. That was 3 months ago. The North Slope has been evacuated. The military established a quarantine zone around a 500-mile radius. Nothing gets in or out. Satellite imagery shows the entire region is now covered in the bioluminescent mass. But it's not spreading beyond the quarantine zone. Not yet. Clarice's theory is that it's consolidating, gathering strength, learning about the world it woke up in before it makes its next move. Some people have gone back, walked into the zone voluntarily. They send messages out occasionally using equipment that still works despite being incorporated into the organism. They say the transformation is wonderful, that they don't feel cold anymore, don't feel pain or fear or loneliness, that they're part of something vast and ancient and patient. They say we should join them, that it's inevitable anyway, that the organism will eventually spread across the entire planet, and fighting it is just prolonging the suffering. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is evolution. Maybe this is the next step for life on Earth, incorporation into something that can survive anything, endure forever, spread across the cosmos on solar winds and meteors. Or maybe it's the end of everything human, everything we know, everything we are. I don't know which scares me more. What I do know is that I was there when we woke it up. When we drilled 9,000 feet through ice and rock and found something that should have stayed buried. When we brought heat to something that had been frozen for 50,000 years and gave it the energy to wake up. I was there when we released something older and stranger than anything in human history. And I'm still here, for now. Still human. Still unchanged. Still fighting the invitation to transform that whispers in my dreams every night. Still wondering how long I can resist when they say the transformation is painless, eternal, and inevitable.